The singular response. Admiral Chen watched the holographic display with practiced calm as voices of panic filled the Galactic Council's emergency session. Representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations argued over fleet deployments and defensive strategies, their voices echoing through the Grand Chamber on Europa Station. The Crystallids have already taken 3 mining outposts in the Carina sector. The Verdani ambassador's tendrils writhed in agitation. We're committing our entire Third Fleet, 47 warships. The hegemony pledges 60 vessels, rumbled Ambassador Katak, his scaled hide shifting colors rapidly. We must meet this threat with overwhelming force. Admiral Chen remained silent, studying the tactical display showing the advance of the crystalline ships through human space. They moved like a swarm of geometric shapes, each vessel a perfect dodecahedron of translucent living crystal, beautiful in their way, and utterly alien. Admiral Chen, Council President Xanthor's voice cut through the chaos. Earth has been conspicuously quiet. What forces will humanity contribute to this joint defense initiative? The chamber fell silent. All eyes, optical sensors, and sensory organs turned to the human representative. Chen straightened her uniform jacket and spoke clearly. 1 ship. The chamber erupted. Madness. An insult. They mock this council. President Xanthor raised all 4 hands for silence. Admiral Chen, surely you jest. The Crystallids have never been defeated in direct combat. Their fleet numbers in the hundreds. 1 ship is insufficient. Chen smiled slightly. The HMS Ingenuity will be more than sufficient, I assure you. What possible advantage could a single vessel provide? Demanded Katak. Have you ever heard music, Ambassador? Chen asked. The question caught the scaled diplomat off guard. I fail to see the relevance. Humanity has spent millennia studying the relationships between sound, resonance, and matter, Chen explained. We understand how certain frequencies can shatter crystal, how harmonics can strengthen or weaken molecular bonds. The Ingenuity isn't just a warship, it's a symphony. She tapped her datapad, and a hologram of the ship appeared above the council table. It was unlike any vessel the aliens had seen before. Instead of the usual weapon hardpoints and shield generators, the hull was studded with what appeared to be massive acoustic emitters. The entire ship seemed designed around them, more like a musical instrument than a weapon of war. The Crystallids are silicon-based life forms, Chen continued. Their ships are extensions of their bodies, living crystal grown into specific shapes. They're beautiful, powerful, and vulnerable to precisely calibrated sonic attacks. We've spent the last year studying their molecular structure and developing a weapon that requires no ammunition, no energy beams, nothing but sound itself. You intend to defeat them with music? The Verdani ambassador's tendrils twisted in disbelief. In a manner of speaking, though I doubt they'll appreciate the performance. Chen's smile widened slightly. The Ingenuity carries the most advanced acoustic generation and amplification system ever created. Its hull is designed to channel and focus sonic energy with unprecedented precision. And its crew. She paused meaningfully. Well, let's just say we selected them for their unique understanding of harmony. President Xanthor leaned forward. You seem very confident, Admiral. But if you're wrong, then humanity will have learned an important lesson about hubris, Chen acknowledged. But we're not wrong. The Crystallids have never encountered anything like what we're about to unleash. They've evolved to withstand energy weapons, projectiles, even atomic disruption. But sound, music, these are concepts alien to them. And that's exactly why it will work. The council chamber remained skeptical, but Chen could see the first glimmers of curiosity replacing outright dismissal. She toggled another hologram, showing the Ingenuity's projected course directly into the heart of Crystallid territory. Sometimes the most effective solution isn't the most obvious one, she said. You all think in terms of numbers. More ships, more weapons, more power. We've learned to think differently, to look for the elegant solution, The precise application of force exactly where it's needed. One ship, one crew, one symphony that will shatter their entire invasion force. As if to punctuate her words, a priority alert flashed across the tactical display. The Ingenuity had completed its final preparations and was ready for departure. Watch closely, Chen told the assembled representatives. You're about to witness humanity's first musical performance for an interstellar audience. I don't think the crystallids are ready for what they're about to hear. The chamber remained silent as the single human vessel moved into position, preparing to jump to faster than light speed. Chen watched with quiet pride, knowing that aboard that ship, 37 of humanity's finest, musicians as much as warriors, were about to demonstrate why sometimes quality mattered more than quantity. The crystallids had never heard music before. They were about to get a crash course in human harmony, whether they wanted one or not. The nature of innovation. Captain Sarah Rivera stood in the Ingenuity's resonance chamber, surrounded by what looked more like a concert hall than a warship's bridge. Curved panels of specially designed acoustical material lined the walls, ceiling, and floor. Banks of holographic controls displayed wave patterns and frequency analyses rather than weapon systems and shield strengths. Final harmonics check, she called out to her crew. Each station responded in turn, their voices carrying the precise pitch and rhythm of people who understood sound at its most fundamental level. Dr. Marcus Zhang, their chief acoustical physicist, adjusted settings on the main resonance array. Primary frequencies calibrated and locked. The crystal samples responded exactly as predicted in our final test. Their molecular structure begins to destabilize at 372.8 Hz when combined with the tertiary overtones. Beautiful, Sarah murmured, studying the simulation. Like finding the exact note that makes a wine glass sing, except we're going to make their entire fleet shatter. Lieutenant Kai Chen, their navigation specialist, looked up from his station. Course plotted through the Carina sector. We'll intercept the main crystallid fleet in approximately 6 hours. Sarah nodded, then turned to face the heart of their weapon system. The harmonic core dominated the center of the chamber. A sphere of perfectly calibrated crystalline rods suspended in a zero-gravity field. Each rod was cut to precise lengths, designed to resonate at specific frequencies. When activated together, they would generate sound waves powerful enough to disrupt matter at the molecular level. Dr. Zhang, Sarah called, walk me through the sequence one more time. I want everyone to understand exactly what we're about to attempt. Marcus stepped forward, his hands moving as he spoke. The crystallids evolved in the vacuum of space. They've never experienced sound as we know it, vibrations moving through matter. Their ships, their very bodies, are perfectly ordered crystal structures, beautiful but predictable. We've mapped every possible resonant frequency. He brought up a holographic model of a crystallid ship. We'll start with a low-frequency pulse, something that will propagate through their hull structure. Then we layer in harmonics, building a complex wave pattern that matches their natural frequency but slightly out of phase. The displacement creates stress fractures at the molecular level. Like an opera singer shattering a glass, Lieutenant Chen offered. Exactly, Marcus smiled. But we're not just hitting one note. We're creating a symphony of destruction, targeting different aspects of their crystalline structure simultaneously. The harmonic core lets us generate and focus sound waves with unprecedented precision. Sarah watched the simulation play out. In it, the targeted crystal structure began to vibrate, then crack, then completely disintegrate. And they have no defense against this. How do you defend against a concept you've never encountered? Marcus asked. They evolved in silence. They'd built their entire civilization without ever experiencing sound. It's not just that they're vulnerable to it. They don't even have a framework for understanding what's happening to them. The ship's quantum communications array chimed softly. Captain, Lieutenant Chen called out. We're receiving an update from Admiral Chen. The crystallid fleet has increased speed. They've detected us, but, he smiled, They seem confused by our energy signature. They can't identify our weapon systems. Of course not, Sarah said. They're looking for energy beams, projectile weapons, shield generators. We don't have any of those things. We have something much more powerful, something they've never seen before. She walked to her command station, running her hand along the smooth surface of the acoustic panels. The entire ship had been designed around this one idea, that the most effective weapon against the crystallids wouldn't be found in conventional arsenals, but in humanity's understanding of sound and music. All stations, begin preliminary power-up sequence for the harmonic core, she ordered. I want every frequency checked and double-checked. When we engage the enemy, we perform this symphony perfectly the first time. There won't be an encore. The crew moved with practiced precision, each person knowing their role in the complex orchestration to come. They had trained for months, learning to work together with the same harmony they would use against their enemy. The harmonic core began to hum softly as it powered up, a barely audible note that seemed to resonate with the ship itself. Sarah felt a fierce pride in her crew and their mission, while other species threw massive fleets at the problem. Humanity had found an elegant solution. One ship, one crew, one perfect harmony that would shatter an enemy that had never known the power of sound. Message from Admiral Chen. Lieutenant Chen announced. The Council is watching our approach. Several members have officially protested our insufficient response to the threat. Let them watch, Sarah said. Sometimes the greatest power comes not from overwhelming force, but from understanding your enemy so completely that you can defeat them with something they never even knew existed. The Ingenuity continued its approach, carrying its unique weapon toward an enemy that had no concept of what was about to hit them. In a few hours, the crystallids would learn why humanity only needed to send one ship. Symphony of battle. The crystallid fleet filled the Ingenuity's forward viewport, hundreds of geometric ships arranged in perfect, crystalline formations. Their vessels gleamed like diamonds in the starlight, each one a massive dodecahedron of living crystal. Beautiful, deadly, and completely unprepared for what was about to happen. Multiple energy signatures, Lieutenant Chen reported. They're charging weapons, standard crystal focus beam technology. Captain Rivera nodded calmly. Let them fire first. I want their attack to prove just how ineffective conventional weapons are against us. The Ingenuity's hull had been designed with acoustic properties in mind, not combat effectiveness. But that same design made it surprisingly resistant to energy weapons. The crystalline beams that lanced out from the alien fleet struck the ship's curved surfaces and dispersed, their energy dissipating harmlessly. Minimal impact, Dr. Zhang reported. The hull's acoustic properties are actually deflecting most of their energy. They'll need to hit us much harder to do any real damage. Time to show them our response, Sarah said. Begin primary harmonic sequence. The harmonic core spun up, its crystalline rods aligning into precise configurations. The ship hummed with power, not the harsh vibration of engines or weapons, but a deep musical note that seemed to resonate with reality itself. Starting with base frequency, Marcus announced, 372.8 Hz, matched to their primary crystalline structure. The sound was barely perceptible to human ears, but its effect on the crystallid ships was immediate. The nearest vessels began to vibrate slightly, their perfect geometric forms showing the first signs of stress. They're responding, Lieutenant Chen reported. Energy signatures shifting. I think they're trying to reinforce their molecular bonds. Sarah smiled. Layer in the harmonics, Dr. Zhang. Let's show them what a full orchestra can do. Marcus's fingers danced across his controls. The harmonic core's output became more complex, building layers of sound that interacted and reinforced each other. The effect rippled out through space, carried by the crystalline structure of the alien ships themselves. The first crystallid vessel shattered spectacularly. Its perfect geometric form vibrated, cracked, and then exploded into a cloud of glittering shards. The destruction wasn't violent. It was almost beautiful, like a glass sculpture coming apart in slow motion. "They're breaking formation," Chen reported. "Multiple ships showing structural instability. Their energy weapons are powering down. I think the harmonics are affecting their ability to focus their beams." Sarah watched the tactical display with intense focus. "Keep building the symphony, Dr. Zhang. I want waves of overlapping frequencies. Don't give them time to adapt." The harmonic core's output increased, filling space with complex patterns of sound. More crystallid ships began to break apart, their perfect forms unable to withstand frequencies that targeted the very structure of their being. "Captain," Chen called out suddenly, "we're being hailed. The crystallids. They're trying to communicate. Put it through." The communication came not in words, but in pulses of light, the crystallid's natural form of expression. The ship's computers translated. "CEs, insurmountable, pattern disrupts existence. They don't understand what's happening," Marcus said quietly. "To them, this must seem like reality itself is turning against them." Sarah stood from her command chair. "Send response. Surrender and withdraw. This is only the first movement of our symphony. You don't want to hear the final." The crystallid fleet was in chaos now. Ships were breaking formation, trying to escape the expanding wave of destructive harmonics. Some were attempting to maintain their attack, but their energy weapons were becoming erratic, disrupted by the same frequencies that were threatening their structures. "They're retreating," Chen announced triumphantly. "Multiple signatures going to FTL. The fleet is scattering." Sarah watched the tactical display as the mighty crystallid fleet, the terror of the galaxy, fled from a single human ship, not through overwhelming firepower, not through superior numbers, but through humanity's understanding of something as fundamental as sound. "Send word to Admiral Chen," she ordered. "Tell her the performance was a success, and inform our audience that this was just the overture. If the crystallids return, we'll show them what a full concert can do." The Ingenuity hung in space, its harmonic core still humming softly. Around it, drifting crystals caught the light of distant stars, a glittering testament to humanity's ability to find power not in brute force, but in understanding the fundamental nature of their enemy. One ship, one crew, one perfect harmony. It was all they had needed. Resonant frequencies. The aftermath of the Ingenuity's first battle brought unexpected challenges. As Captain Rivera reviewed the sensor data in the resonance chamber, she could see the crystallids were already evolving their strategy. The remaining ships had begun to alter their molecular structure, trying to become less vulnerable to the harmonic attacks. "They're learning," Dr. Zhang announced, studying the latest scans. "Look at these patterns. They're attempting to create random crystalline structures instead of their usual geometric perfection. It makes them harder to target with specific frequencies." "Clever," Sarah admitted, "but it also makes them weaker. Those perfect formations weren't just for show. They were load-bearing structures. Change them too much, and their ships become fragile," Marcus finished. "They're trading structural integrity for sonic resistance." Lieutenant Chen's console chimed urgently. "Captain, multiple signatures detected. The crystallids are back, but..." He paused, frowning at his readings. "They're different. The formations are chaotic, almost organic." The main viewport showed the approaching fleet. Gone were the perfect geometric shapes. Now the crystallid vessels writhed and shifted, their surfaces constantly reforming into new patterns. It was like watching living mercury, if mercury could exist in the cold of space. "They're trying to avoid having any consistent structure for us to target," Marcus observed. "Fascinating. They've completely redesigned their entire technological basis in just a few hours." Sarah studied the tactical display. "They've sacrificed their energy weapon efficiency. Look at how unfocused their beams are now. But they're betting it's worth it to counter our sonic attacks." "Captain," Chen called out. "They're broadcasting. Same light pulse communication as before." The translation appeared on their screens. Adaptation complete. Your resourcefulness cannot harm any forms. Surrender or be destroyed. Sarah smiled slightly. They still don't understand. Dr. John, how long to recalibrate the harmonic core for variable frequency output? Already done, Marcus replied with professional pride. I started the modifications as soon as I saw their new structure. We can now generate random harmonic patterns that shift faster than they can adapt their forms. Perfect. Lieutenant Chen, bring us into optimal range. Let's show them that humans know how to improvise too. The Ingenuity moved forward, its harmonic core beginning to spin up. But this time, instead of a single perfect note, it generated a cascade of shifting frequencies, a jazz solo instead of a classical symphony. The effect on the crystallid fleet was immediate and devastating. Their attempts to maintain random structures actually made them more vulnerable. Without their rigid geometric forms to provide stability, the chaotic sound waves tore through their ships like tissue paper. They didn't account for harmonic resonance, Marcus explained, watching the destruction with scientific interest. By trying to avoid specific frequencies, they've made themselves vulnerable to all of them. It's like they're trying to dodge raindrops by turning into mist. The crystallid ships began to break apart, not in the clean, crystalline fractures of before, but in messy, chaotic dissolutions. Their new fluid forms literally shook themselves to pieces under the assault of random frequencies. They're trying to reform, Chen reported, attempting to return to their original geometric configurations. Too late, Sarah said quietly. Keep the frequency shifts random, Dr. John. Don't give them time to stabilize into any form. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in minutes. The remaining crystallid ships fled, leaving behind clouds of shimmering debris that would serve as a warning to others. Humanity's weapons couldn't be countered by simple adaptation. Send message, Sarah ordered. Tell them that music, like humanity, cannot be defeated by trying to predict and counter it. The very nature of sound is change, adaptation, creativity. They cannot win this fight by changing their forms because we will always find new ways to make them dance to our tune. The translation went out in pulses of light, a message that would fundamentally change how the galaxy viewed both humanity and warfare itself. One ship, wielding the power of sound and creativity, had done what entire fleets could not. In the resonance chamber, Sarah watched the debris field slowly disperse. Prepare a full report for Admiral Chen, she said. The Council needs to understand that we didn't just develop a new weapon. We've created a new way of thinking about space combat itself. The harmonic core hummed softly, ready for whatever symphony of destruction might be needed next. The crystallids had learned a harsh lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy isn't the one with the biggest fleet or the strongest weapons, but the one who understands that warfare, like music, is an art of infinite variation. Harmony's victory. The Galactic Council chamber was silent as Admiral Chen finished presenting the Ingenuity's battle recordings. The massive holographic display showed the final moments of the conflict. Crystallid ships dissolving under waves of harmonic energy, their desperate attempts at adaptation failing against humanity's mastery of sound. Impossible, the Verdani ambassador whispered, tendrils curling in disbelief. One ship. You did with one ship what our combined fleets couldn't accomplish in a year of warfare. Not impossible, Chen corrected gently. Just a different way of thinking. While everyone else tried to match the crystallids' strength with brute force, we looked for their fundamental weakness. We didn't need 100 ships firing energy weapons. We needed one ship that could turn their own nature against them. President Xanthor leaned forward, all four eyes focused intently on the tactical displays. The implications of this victory go far beyond the crystallid threat. You've demonstrated that superior numbers and conventional warfare aren't always the answer. This changes everything. That was our hope, Chen admitted. The Ingenuity wasn't just a weapon, it was a proof of concept. Warfare shouldn't be about who can build the biggest fleet or the strongest weapons. It should be about understanding, adaptation, and innovation. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Representatives from dozens of species debated the implications of humanity's approach. Some were already talking about developing their own acoustic weapons, while others argued for completely rethinking their military strategies. Tak, the scaled ambassador who had once mocked humanity's single-ship response, approached Chen privately. "We were wrong about humans," he admitted. "We thought you were weak because you didn't think like us. Now I understand. That's exactly what makes you strong." Chen smiled. "Strength takes many forms, Ambassador. Sometimes the quietest voice carries the most power." On the main display, the Ingenuity was returning to Earth, its mission complete. Captain Rivera's final report scrolled across the screen, detailing not just the victory but the lessons learned. The Crystallids had retreated to their home systems, their once mighty fleet shattered not by violence, but by sound itself. "There will be other threats," Chen told the council. "Other enemies who think they're invincible because they have bigger ships or stronger weapons. But humanity will always look for the elegant solution, the unexpected approach. We'll find the weakness no one else sees, the strategy no one else considers." She gestured to the holographic display, showing the Ingenuity's unique design. "This ship represents humanity's greatest strength, not our technology or our weapons, but our ability to think differently, to see music where others see only weapons, to find harmony in the chaos of space." The council voted unanimously to establish a new division dedicated to studying alternative approaches to space warfare. Chen was not surprised when several species requested human advisors to help them understand this new way of thinking. As the session concluded, President Xanthor addressed the assembly one final time. "Let this be remembered as the day we learned that true power lies not in the size of our fleets, but in the wisdom to know when one ship, one idea, is enough. Humanity has taught us all a valuable lesson." The Ingenuity's victory marked more than just the end of the Crystallid threat. It represented a fundamental shift in how the galaxy approached conflict. Species that had spent centuries building ever larger fleets began to explore new possibilities, seeking their own unique solutions to the challenges of space. And on Earth, in the labs and shipyards where the Ingenuity had been born, engineers and scientists were already working on new ideas. Because they knew that somewhere out there, another threat would arise, another enemy would appear thinking themselves invincible. And humanity would be ready, not with a fleet of 1,000 ships, but with one perfect solution, one elegant answer, one symphony of victory that would remind the galaxy why Earth only ever needed to send one ship. Admiral Chen smiled as she watched the council members disperse, each carrying with them a new understanding of humanity's potential. They had expected humans to think like them, to fight like them. Instead, they had learned that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't the largest or the strongest. Sometimes, it's simply the one that knows how to make the universe dance to its own unique tune.